We already talked about how to add and remove a user account from our Linux system, and we mentioned the concept of group. Okay, so far the only thing we have been experiencing with groups is every time we create a new user account, this user account comes with a new group. The group name and the username are the same, and the user account is added as member to that group. So every time you have a new account in your Linux system, that user finds himself or herself alone in a new group. Okay, so the point of groups is that you may want to say that a folder or a file belong to that group. Okay, we saw how to change ownership, including group ownership. And that combined with specific permission allows you to say, well, everybody who is in the group, let's say project 42, should be able to enter this folder, create new files and subfolders in it, read the content, do everything in it. Okay, so to be able to do that, you need one more piece of the puzzle that we haven't actually discussed yet, is how do you create new groups with specific names that have meaning, like project 42 or whatever, and how do you add users and remove users from such groups. Okay, so we're going to just go into the basics of this. As people working on a Linux workstation or a Linux server, you don't need to know all the little detail on how this functions from a system administration point of view, but you need to be at least aware of those features and use them in your everyday dealings with Linux systems. Okay, so we have a few commands that are meant to help us do those tasks. So add group, del group. Okay, so add a new group, delete a new group. So these are the high-level commands, similar to add user, del user. They are very nice. They do a lot of stuff for us. And then we have low-level version, which are group add and group del. Okay, and in addition to all that, well, the user mode command that we haven't covered yet, and you're going to see why in the module webpage. The user mode command allows us also to add a certain user to a group, but fortunately, add user also does that for us even more simply. Okay, so this is kind of a menu of what we're going to try to cover in this video. So let's start with add group. So you need privilege to be able to add a group. So if I say add group project 42 like this, logged in as user tux, well, no, only root can do that. So fortunately, I am in the sudoers, so I can do sudo add group project 42, and I can now enter my password, and there we go. I have a new group created, project 42, and the group ID is 1002. All right, there are no users right now in that group. So I can fix that by doing sudo add user, and I can say, for example, tuxedo is going to belong to project 42. Okay, and there we go. And then I can say also, why not, tux is going to also belong to the group project 42. So these are called secondary groups. Okay, a user, for example, if I type the command groups, okay, it's going to tell me all of the groups that I belong to. Okay, so a user can belong to a multitude of groups. The one group that you belong to, that is your primary group, is tux, okay, and then you can be added to a bunch of secondary groups. Being a member of a secondary group is enough to, having a certain group like Project 42 as a secondary group is enough for you to be able to benefit from the permission that have been assigned to any folder or file that is marked as belonging to that group. Okay, so it doesn't need to be your primary group. There are some commands like, for example, chgrp. If you look at the man page, okay, it's going to allow you to change the group ownership of a file very easily. Okay, in the past we have used actually chown to do that, and we change at the same time the group ownership and the user ownership. But now if you want to just change the group ownership, well, it's easier to just do it with chgrp. Okay, So ch own, change the owner, and possibly the owner and the group at the same time. Ch grp changes only the group ownership of a file or folder. All right. So what can we do with this? Well, we can actually create files like touch some file. Oops. I forgot that. Get there. Okay. And then we can say ch group, for some file. We want to assign project 42 some file. There we go. Oh, oops. Operation not permitted, so I messed up here. I need to actually sudo this. So the same way that I need to sudo ch own. So there we go. And now if I do ls, you can see that this some file that I created still belongs to my user. The user I'm logged in as Tux, but now I change his group ownership to project 42. And that's pretty much the basics of how you're going to be able to share folders with other people. So you could do a folder, you could create a folder, mkdir project 42, okay? Of course, go. So I created a project folder 42 in /home, let me go there. But it belongs to Tux and group Tux. Actually, it belongs to root and group root because I had to get privilege to actually create that folder in /home. So now what I can do is I can change that and say, well, I want Tux to own project 42, and then I want the group project 42 to own the folder project 42. Okay, and now I have this folder, and everybody who is actually a member of project 42, even if it's not their primary group, okay, with the default setting of Debian-like system like Ubuntu, everybody's primary group has the same name as their user name, okay? So Tux is in group Tux, Tuxedo is in group Tuxedo, and etc. Okay, but what's happening here is that I created a folder that has a group ownership that is a separate group that I created after one, and now I can add a bunch of users to that group. This is going to become one of their secondary group, and they are going to be able, therefore, to, if I set the permission correctly, R and X read, which means like do ls, for example, in that folder, and X execute, enter that folder. Okay, and if I wanted, I could even do chmod, group plus W project 42, and then there we go. We have given full permission to anybody in the group project 42 to mess around with that folder. Okay, so there are a few things like that are very common use cases that you are going to encounter even if you are not a sysadmin, and then there's a bunch of things that are going to be much more focused on sysadmin tasks. Okay, for example, you should not have to use the low-level version, which are group add, group del. Okay, but I still encourage you to do a man group add, and then a man group del, and peruse through those to see the options that are available. Okay, the key for you to practice and exercise your ability to both read man page and apply those kind of low-level tools is to try to redo, for example, the manipulation that we performed in this video, but using solely the low-level tool group add, group del. Okay, so do this as a practice exercise. Take a look at the main page, try to redo exactly what we did in this video, so replace the video, follow it step by step, but prevent yourself from using the convenient and easy high-level tools and use instead the low-level tool with the correct option. That will give you, if anything else, an appreciation of all the steps that go into adding a group, removing a group, etc. Talking of which, we didn't test removing group, so I can do sudo the group project 42. Here's what's going to happen. Removing group project 42. So again, the group is nice. It's going to remove that project for any wherever it appears as a secondary group for a username as well. Okay. So there we go. We have in a nutshell a quick overview of the commands similar to the ones that we studied for adding user, removing user account, but their counterpart that are focused on adding groups actually to our system and removing groups from our system.